and welcome to CAWcreations. This is a podcast about knitting and books I've read. It's Sunday, March 4th, 2018, and you can find me as Cheryl Can on Instagram and Ravelry, and at CAWcreations.org for my patterns and my show notes. So I just wanted to do a quick podcast because I realized it's been 2 weeks since my last one. It's already noon on Sunday, and from noon to 4 on Sunday, my knitting buddies meet at Beans, so I'm going to do a relatively quick podcast, but I want to cover a few things that I've been working on. So I had an order for a number of worsted weight hats, and they're a hat that's coming out later in the year in the CAWcreations knitting pattern. But the reason I wanted to talk about it today is that the bulky weight version of the hat, it's called the Connections hat, will be coming out through Fleece and Harmony either this week or next week, because they have a nice bulky weight yarn that is a mix of alpaca and their regular yarn. So this is one. I've finished 3 of these. This is one. This is in, I can't remember the green, that's name, and then there's Thistle. And so then I reversed the hat. So I made Thistle with the green band. These make lovely wedding gifts for people to have kind of matching hats, but not matchy-matchy hats. And again, these come as full-size hats where you can put a pom-pom on them. These hats were ordered for a lady who's taking them as a gift to the north, so she didn't want pom-poms on them. They're a great hat for under a helmet or something like that. They're also done in reversible cables, so that means that it doesn't matter which way you turn it, you can wear it. So this one is Thistle, and then the dark green, and I can't remember the name of the green. I will write it in the show notes. This one is Pine Cone and Lighthouse. This is an adult small, and this is an adult large. I'm also in the middle of knitting an adult medium, and this one is in Lighthouse with the pine cone accent. So I love these, how you can play with the colors. They're also really beautiful in a solid color. And I will show you a little video on how to do reversible cables. I'll insert it here. So what I'm going to show you here is how I do the reversible cables. So you can see what I have is knit 2, purl 2 in a ribbed pattern. And so when you go to do your reversible cable, I'm just going to pull this out. I'm doing a reversible cable with cable 8 back, and you have to cable a multiple of 4 back because you need to put at least your 2 knit and your 2 purl on the cable needle here. And then you knit your knit stitches. I'm trying to knit without being in your way, and of course I'm a thrower, so I'm in your way. And then you purl your purl stitches to create the cable, and then you pick up your cable needle and you knit your knit stitches, and you purl your purl stitches. And then you can see there's your cable. And it looks the same on the front and the back of the cable. So we'll go around and I'll knit my knit stitches. It's funny how I can knit normally really, really well, and then when I get knitting in front of a camera, it gets clunky and not as smooth. So again, I'm knitting my knit stitches and I'm purling my purl stitches. But when we go to do the reversible cable, again, we will be taking a multiple of 4. This is a cable 8 back, so that means you take 4 on your cable needle. You cable across 8 stitches, so half of those stitches, 4 of those stitches go on your cable needle, and then you knit 2 and purl 2. And you pick up the ones from your cable needle. And it just happens to be this cable is where I switch my needles for the DPNs. So you knit 2 and you purl 2. And then as I keep going, I continue in my knit 2, purl 2 rib. This is the Connections hat in bulky, but the cable works this, this is the Connections hat in worsted weight, but the cables work the same whether you're using bulky worsted weight or fingering weight yarn. So I have the Connections hat in bulky is coming out now. The fingering weight will be coming out in a month or so. And then the bulky weight one is in the CAWcreations knitting calendar for 2018. So I've been doing a number of the worsted weight ones to make sure that I have the pattern right for the calendar. So here's my last So again, you're cabling 8 back, so you're taking 4, like half of the cabled stitches, putting them on the needle, putting them in the back of the yarn because you're cabling behind, and then you just continue in your knit 2, purl 2 rib on the cable stuff. And that's how you do a reversible cable. I love them. I love them because you can make these nice little skull hats that can go on either way, and they're great. Anyway, that's reversible cables. Thank you to Fiona Alice, who taught me reversible cables at Knit East probably 3 years ago now, but it was a great experience. So that's my only finished object because I've been working on these to get them out to a customer. So I just went over my finished objects, which were the connection hats in worsted weight. And again, I want to announce that the Connections hat is coming out in bulky weight through Fleece and Harmony, www.fleeceandharmony.com. And it's a beautiful yarn that they have in many different colors. I knit it with periwinkle and natural, and it's a mix of their regular Corriedale and wool, as well as a percentage of alpaca put in it. So it really makes it a nice warm hat. And I think we're supposed to have it out next week. They're waiting on me because I have everything written except the chart, and I had a bit of an issue. I bought a new a new software piece for making charts easier, and I'm slowly learning how to do it, and I'm a little bit slow on that. But anyway, it will get out. I'll just show you a couple of my whips. I think I have like 24 whips. Oops. So I tend to just show you what I'm working on. I pulled out Vicky's Afghan again. For those of you who watch a lot, you'll remember that my daughter graduated from high school, and I bought the yarn to make her this Afghan. It's an Afghan pattern. Oh, of course I have it backwards. It's an Afghan pattern that I made for my mom and my sister-in-law years ago, and Vicky loves it. But of course, she didn't want it in the same yarn they had it in. So she went out, and this is an acrylic yarn. What's it called? Sorry about the noise. It is 100% acrylic sweet roll premier yarn. So they come in these bundles, and I'm just switching to this pink color. First we started with the turquoises, then the blues, and we're moving up to the pinks. So she absolutely loves it. I'm assuming this is the stitch marker of where it was when I showed you last time. So I've made it up to switching to the pink, and then there's a purple color as well. So I told her when I bought the yarn, she asked me, when's the Afghan going to be ready? And I said, well, I bought you the yarn for graduation from high school. You're going to have to graduate from university before you get the Afghan. I've learned. Give myself a few years. I still have to finish the one that's been on my needles for 10 years. I have an October deadline on that one, and I've told myself I'm absolutely going to finish it this year. So hopefully. But that's what this is. They're massive, I think 15 millimeter needles. So yeah, I've been working on it, just not getting very far. And it's big enough now that I'm not taking it anywhere either. But Vicky just wants something cozy. She doesn't want it in wool because she just wants to be able to throw it in the washing machine. So anyway, you got to make what the kids want, and they can be picky. So that's what I'm making for her. And then the other thing I'm making is for me. It is the beautiful Binsey sweater by Fiona Alice. I love it. I love the sweater. The only thing I'm not sure about are these little wing things on the sides. But I absolutely love the sweater. And I'm getting there. How far up am I? I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm 7 up, and we have to do 11, so I've got 4 more to do. And this is in Fleece and Harmony's Quartz. I love Quartz. They even featured this on their Instagram this week. I love the Quartz. It's beautiful. My mom is knitting it with me, and she's knitting hers in Blueberry Preserves, which is my favorite color that Fleece and Harmony makes. But I thought I probably need less purple sweaters and need a different color. And Jennifer, who dyes for Fleece and Harmony, said this color works really well with my skin tone. And I tend to trust her on colors. She's much better with colors than I am. So I love it. And that's where I am at on that. I will put a progress keeper on that so that you'll know where I am. So those are the 2 whips I wanted to go through. I'm going to talk a little bit about a book I read, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about stash enhancement. So the book I've just finished, like last night, is Boundary, The Last Summer by Andre. I don't know if it's Andre. I know my brother's name is Andre, but this is a female Andre, so it may be Andrie. Anyway, Michard. It's a French book. I read the English translation because I'm not good enough in French to read the entire novel. It's a mystery. It's a murder mystery. I found it great. I found the characters got me into the story. I was quite involved with the story. And I wanted to find out what happened. It was a hard topic. It was about 2 young girls, teens, who were murdered and trying to find the killer in a cottage area in Maine, kind of the Maine-Quebec border. So there's French and English, and it just made for a very interesting dynamic. And it's a library book. I was glad I borrowed it. I was pleased with it. So that's the book I've read this week. So I'm going to move on to what I bought. I don't have everything here. I got my minis. I think I posted on Instagram my mini pack from, I'll show a picture of it here. I got a blues and another color, and then a beautiful little progress keeper that I'll probably use on the Binsey sweater. A Lighthouse progress keeper. I really love it. The next thing I got was an order from Prairie Dye Studios. I bought yarn, a pair of scissors. I got a progress keeper for my cousin who loves ladybugs, because I had made her stitch markers with ladybugs, but I like the colorful progress keeper to go with it. The reason I made the purchase was I've been looking at this bag for ages, ever since she put it out. It has a lobster on it, which makes sense to me. Fish, because I'm a fish physiologist. We'll just ignore that it has geese on it, because I hate Canada geese. But I just love the bag. The construction is lovely, and it's big. It's a nice sweater size bag, and I wanted another sweater size bag. So I got that, and then of course I had to get this one. She posted it on Instagram. I just bought a ironing board cover that has skulls and purple on it. So I couldn't believe she came out with this at the same time. So I got this bag as well. And then I'll show a picture here of the yarn and the needle, or the scissors I got. They're really cute little scissors. Also purchased a bag from PEI, the PEI knitting bag. I had to get a Wonder Woman bag. Tim and I watched the movie Wonder Woman, and then we watched the movie about the guy who made Wonder Woman. I can't remember the name of that movie, but I needed a Wonder Woman bag, and so I got this. I love it. Michelle, who makes the bags, has changed her pattern just slightly, and it means that the top is a bit bigger, and I love that her interfacing, as that's called, inside is strong enough so that you can set it up, and it's like a basket once you set it up. I love it. Love, love, love it. It's got Wonder Woman on the outside, and then women superheroes on the inside, and then it's got the 3D printed sheep on it. It's so cute. So that was my purchasing, which is quite a lot of purchasing. I got to stop purchasing. But how can you stop when you have so many great makers? Oh no, that's not all my purchasing. I also bought my friend Kim, who who designed my logo, had a beautiful fox pin, a Mr. Fox enamel pin that I bought and gave to Moira at Knitting and Stitches for a prize for one of her knit-alongs. I'll put a picture in here. Mr. Fox is so cute. And then she had a Mr. Fox card too, so I got that and gave it to Moira. But I also got these beautiful stickers. They say, "I hear the ocean in my heart." I love them. Love, love, love them. So that was my purchases. What else has been going on with me? I'm getting glasses. Anyone who follows me on Instagram would have noticed that I'd posted 4 different sets of frames, although I'm horrible with selfies, and everybody picked the one picture that was a half-decent selfie. I don't know if it was really the frames or that was the only half-decent selfie that I got out of all 4 selfies. So I ended up picking the glasses that were lightest and felt best on my face, because I've made it 44 years without having glasses. I think it's going to be a little bit for me getting used to them. But I had to do something because it was getting to the point where I couldn't knit after a certain point in the evening, and that's just not me. I've gotta figure that out. So yeah. So anyway, that was the biggest excitement. Other than that, I recently deconstructed and reconstructed a sweater. I took a video of it. Maybe what I will do is after the podcast, I will show the video of me taking apart the sweater and putting it back together. I'd made a sweater for a friend, and she's quite tiny, so I made it tiny, but she works out, so she's got big shoulders and she has muscles in her arms, so I had to remake the back and the arms so that they don't watch it if you have any trouble with watching people cut into their knitting and rip it apart, because I take a sweater that's all put together and I take the back apart, take off the collar, and I rip it all the way down to midway down the back, and then so that's exactly what I do. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. So the KALs that are ongoing with CAWcreations right now are the Beach Day KAL, and you can use the Beach Day shawl pattern to make a shawl, a cowl, or a scarf. And I have all the shawl available right now. The cowl and the scarf are just modifications with numbers of cast on, and I will print up the cast on numbers in the conversation for the knit along, so you'll know how many to cast on. And then all you do, which is the fun part of the Beach Day shawl, is you can just put in, because waves, the grass, the clouds, and the rays, and you can just take any of those 4 patterns and put them in the order you want to put them in, for as many or as little repeats as you want. I will, it's kind of a do-it-yourself type of thing. So that is going on, I think, till the end of May. And then my year-long stash or shelf knit along with This Old Knit podcast is still going on. I'm so okay with you double dipping. So if you're doing hers and doing mine, you can post your finished objects in both Ravelry groups. In order to win, you have to be a member of my Ravelry group, and you have to have taken something that you purchased before January 1st, 2018 and used it in your project. So you either have to use yarn you purchased before this year or a pattern you purchased before this year. And if you use both yarn and a pattern you purchased before this year, then you get a double entry. Okay? Oh, worsted weight socks. I knew it was. So the worsted weight socks knit along that goes along all year. It's paired with the ebook of patterns, CAWcreations 2018 ebook of patterns to go along with my desktop calendar. A number of the patterns in that, there's 10 patterns in that book, and a number of them are worsted weight socks patterns. So the first, January, was a basic worsted sock. February then was a headband or slouch hat pattern by my friend Heather Publicover. And then March is the, what did I call it? The raise sock. So it uses a similar to the raise pattern from the Beach Day shawl, but it runs down the leg of the sock. So those are the 3 that are out. There will be 7 more coming out across the year. And as I said, a number of them are sock patterns. There's a couple of soap covers, the Connections hat's coming out, and then there's 1 blanket. Full-size Gavin's blanket is coming out. So it'll be fun to get along with that. Oh, also, it's March Madness! March Madness, I took the calendar ebook of patterns for the calendar, and instead of it being $25 for the month of March, it's $15 for you to get 10 patterns on the calendar. So for the month of March, and until I change the price back, you can purchase the calendar for just $15. So pick up your calendar and join in on the worsted weight socks KAL, which will be an ongoing KAL throughout 2018, and I'll be drawing my first round of prizes at the end of this month for the first quarter of that. I'll see you soon. Happy knitting. And the third, I know there's a third knit along, and I'm blanking on it right now. There's the stash or shelf, there's the Beach Day, and there's another that goes all year. What is it? I know, I may be crazy, but I can't show mad. March. Sorry for such a quick episode, but I do want to get to Beans to meet my buddies for knitting, and I will see you soon.